Much like the shape tools, Illustrator provides line tools that will draw open paths instead of closed paths like shapes do. The line tools can help you to draw numerous different types of lines in any number of configurations. Let's take a look at how some of these tools work. The line tools are located down here in your Tools panel, and we're going to begin by using the Line Segment tool. So I'm going to click on that to select it, and down here in my Fill and Stroke indicator, I'm going to make sure that the stroke indicator is frontmost, and then I'm going to go to my Swatches panel and make sure that I choose black as the stroke color. And that'll just make it easier for me to see these shapes when I draw them. And I should also point out that I have the lines.ai file already open on my computer. So at the most basic level, the Line tool allows you to click and drag from one point to the next to draw a line. It's very basic in nature. You can just click and drag in any direction and you'll draw straight lines. Now I'm going to switch to my Selection tool and just marquee over these and delete them. So we'll go back to that tool. And some tips when using the Line tool are that if you hold down the Shift key when you click and drag, you will draw a perfectly straight line in the horizontal direction, in the vertical direction, or on a perfect 45-degree angle from start to finish. So as you can see, these line tools or the line segment tool can be pretty useful depending on what type of design you're trying to create. Now I'm going to go ahead and click and hold on the line segment tool because we also have what's called the arc tool. When you click and drag with this tool, it's a little bit confusing because what it's doing is it's beginning at where you click and then ending where you're going to release your mouse. So no matter what direction you go, it's going to create an arc accordingly. Now, some tips when using the arc tool, you can use the up arrow on your keyboard to change the radius of the arc. You can use the down arrow key on your keyboard to decrease the radius. So I'm just holding down the down arrow key right now, and as you can see, it actually flipped to the other angle. So when you're happy with the arc, you can go ahead and just click and drag to draw the appropriate arc. And from that point, you can keep drawing. So maybe I want to draw one on this side, and you can click and drag to draw one in the other direction. Now, if I want to flip it, you can just press the F key on your keyboard, and that'll flip the arc accordingly. Once again, I'll press the F key to flip it in the other direction. And as you can see, I've drawn a fairly interesting shape. So I'm just going to shift click on all of these to select them so I can move it out of the way. Now, in addition, using this arc tool, if I click and drag, what I can also do is press the C key on my keyboard while I'm dragging, and that will close the arc. So what I can do is I can draw a shape. Then what I'll do is I'll click and drag one more time. And if I want to flip it, I just press the F key, and you can kind of change which direction you're going here. Again, like your shape tools, you can hold down the space bar on your keyboard to reposition it as you're drawing. And then when you release the space bar, it'll just continue where you left off. Same thing here, we can click and drag. And you can press the F key on your keyboard, reposition it. As you can see, you have a lot of flexibility here. Again, all drawn with a very basic line tool. Just move that out of the way for a second. Now, in addition to the arc tool, we also have the spiral tool, which can be a lot of fun to use inside of Illustrator. So at its most basic level, we click and drag, and it's going to draw a spiral. Again, you can hold down the space bar as you're dragging to reposition it accordingly. Now, in addition to just simply drawing a spiral, what we could do is, as we're dragging, we can use the up and down arrow keys on our keyboard to change what's called the decay of the spiral. So the down arrow key will decrease that to create less of a spiral, and the up arrow key will increase the amount of decay on the spiral. So I'm going to delete that one more time. Now what I can also do when I'm drawing a spiral, I can, as I'm dragging, if I hold down the Option key on Mac or the Alt key on Windows, it will change the number of winds on the spiral. As you can see, as I drag up, it increases the winds. As I drag down or make it smaller, it decreases. Now, if I let go of the key, it's not going to change anything, but I'm still holding the mouse. I'm going to add the Alt or Option key, and you'll notice that the decay or the winds decreases. So depending on what you're trying to achieve, you can really change the overall effect of how this spiral looks. Now also, while you're dragging, you can hold down the Command key or the Control key on Windows to change the decay. So I'm holding down the Command key on Mac, Control key on Windows, and as I drag out, I'm changing that overall decay. As I drag inward, it will increase that. Now, you could keep combining these options. So I'll hold down the Command key. So as I hold down the Command key and I drag inwards, I'm increasing the number of winds. I'm going to press Delete to remove that. Let's do that again. So I'll click and drag. So if I hold down Command, I can change the decay rate. So I'm going to enlarge this and then hold down Command. And then if I want to change the decay rate, I hold down Option as I'm dragging one way or another, and that'll increase the number of winds. So using these two keyboard shortcuts, you can really change this behavior to really create any shape of spiral that you're looking for. So I'll go ahead and move that over to the side. And click and hold on this. We also have the rectangular grid tool. As its name implies, it's going to draw a rectangular grid. Now I'll go ahead and delete that because there's also some options you can use to change the rectangular grid tool. So as I'm dragging, what I can do is press the letter F on my keyboard to change the distribution of the horizontal dividers. If I press the V key, it's going to increase that distribution the other way. As you can see, you can really change that. So again, that's F and V on your keyboard. And then you can also use the X and C keys on your keyboard to change the distribution in the horizontal direction. So when I let go, you can see the grid that I've created. You can also just click with this tool, and you can choose specifically the number of horizontal and vertical dividers, as well as the skew in each direction. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. We'll go ahead and just move this down a little bit. And last but not least, we also have the polar grid tool. So using this tool, once again, we can click and drag, and this is going to create a circular polar grid that we can use also. I'm going to delete that because with this tool, we can use those same keyboard shortcuts as we did with the rectangular grid. We can use the F key to kind of change the distribution in one direction, the V key to change the distribution in the other direction, and then you can also use the X and C keys to change the distribution of the rings within it. If you hold down Shift before you let go, it'll create a perfect shape. Although some of these line tools may seem obscure at first, it's good to know that they're available when the need arises. Remember, there are many shortcuts to control how these line tools behave. And if you want a comprehensive list, I encourage you to go to the Adobe Help, and that will show you a table of all of these shortcuts. I encourage you to practice on your own because when you need these tools, you'll be glad that they're there.